In the last video, I mentioned we will be covering over working on our door class. And the reason for this is because we need our zombie spawns to be controlled by the zones. So what I mean by that is, currently, zombies are going to spawn out there, here, and just behind, around in these areas. Because this here is the starter room. But what I'm thinking is, make it so it's based on the door and not like an actual zone. So for example, you enter in here, because if I recall from using Radiant like many years ago to make World at War maps, I think it was based on when the player entered and that dictated the zone, but I can't quite remember. But whenever the doors open, have it set up so the what's it called? It triggers the next zone. Now my thoughts on this were setting it up with a base class that is going to be just kind of an interactable class. So that way many things can be kind of influenced by it. So what I mean by that is this door. You can see the text, press and hold F to open door, cost is X. Well, it says that on both sides. And kind of the same deal over here with the car 98. I think it even says it on the back side. Or maybe not. My thought was to have a scalable little box mesh instead of using a line trace. So whenever you enter it, it prints out that message. And this could be something that is just being checked on the client only, but at the same time, I'm kind of not quite sure how I want to do this. Or I could just have a simple, like medium-sized kind of mesh area that's invisible that only gets triggered by the line trace. So you can be, you have this big area to look at, and same thing with like the weapons. You have a bigger area to look at and still having the option to purchase. So I might end up just going that route. So we're going to have a base class that pretty much allows us to easily print out a message for any of these. And then we're going to have classes derived directly from that. So for example, we're going to have the base class, door class, a weapon class, and all that kind of stuff for whatever needs to be purchased. And same thing is probably going to be going for the windows as well, with a overrideable function that we can simply call to use. What am I hitting? Oh. So anyways, that's my thought. Just quick little update on the map so far. I haven't made much progress recently, but slowly and surely. So let's go ahead and build our class. So in Nazi Zombie, I'm going to make a new section here. I'm going to call this one usable, not usable. It's going to be A actor. I'm going to call this one interactable base. And I want to make it in a folder, call it usables. I think that's spelled right. And create the class. Alrighty. Let's see. Usables. And then we can fix the constructor. Nazi Zombie. Usables. There we go. All right. We don't want it to be on tick. Can remove that. And we should be good to go ahead and compile. So I'm going to close the editor down. Compile. Might as well close the game as well. Alrighty. And from here, we can go ahead and start work on the base class and deriving the other class from it, well, our door class. So let's begin. I'm going to close down everything that's not related to it. And let's create a string. So this is going to be interactables, and those are going to be things that have a cost. Well, actually, yeah, they're not going to, this class isn't going to contain the cost. I think this class is just going to contain a message. So this is going to be a U property, edit anywhere, category equals, let's see what to call it. I guess just Nazi zombie settings. And it's going to be an F string. Let's call this one UI message. And in the constructor, UI message equals press and hold F to purchase. So that way we can return the UI message from this class. So I'm going to make a public function. It's going to be returning an F string, get UI message, and it's simply going to return UI message. UI message. Okay, now that we have that, we can create a class derived from this. I'll make this in a protected section and compile. And just for safety, I'm going to close down the editor because I don't trust it. And the next class will be our door. All right. Before we actually create that, I want to make one more function actually. This one's going to be void use. Yeah, I'm just going to call it use. This is going to be a virtual void, so it can be overridden. And this will be pretty much the function that we call that will pretty much handle it for us. So we don't really have to do code changes between, what do you call it? Between items. So later on, we might make this take in a parameter such as the character that tried to use it, but we'll just kind of have to figure it out from there. So create a C++ class derived from this. I want to call this one, or let's see, barricade. How do you spell barricade? So I'm just going to call this one barricade and create. Okay, let's reload and open them up. fix the include real quick. And create the constructor. And we're pretty much good to go. So, for example, we should be able to access UI message. Well, I know IntelliSense is going to be a pain in this, but we're just going to leave it as is. Then we're going to make a blueprint class from this, as well as do things like adding our static mesh and just kind of stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead. All right, now IntelliSense is picked back up. So let's go ahead and do that. So protected, under U property, edit anywhere, category, what was I using before? Nazi zombie settings. We have class, use static mesh component. And I'm just going to call it, yeah, just mesh comp. And we're going to include, let's see, it's components, static mesh component dot h. We're going to do mesh component, create default sub object, use static mesh component, static mesh component. We're going to set root component equals mesh component and compile. Okay. I'm going to shut down the editor and relaunch it and create our blueprint class. Okay, here's our barricade. Create a blueprint class, BP underscore barricade. Call this one, what was it, usables, and put it in there. All right. Give it a static mesh, and we're just going to do the cube. And that'll be good enough for now. But we still have our UI message here that we can change pretty much freely. So from there, we can also add things like a cost, which I'm going to go ahead and do real quick. So again, it's going to be U property. Going to be a, because it can has to be, cannot speak. So I don't want it to be too crazy for the price. I'm thinking just like a, see, U in 16 cost. And cost by default, setting to 500. So that should give us a range between 0 and 65,000. If you want to, for some reason, have the cost of a barricade be higher than that, change it to like a uint 32 or something, in which case you're going to have a crazy huge value that you can work with if you want. Okay. Now I'm trying to think. I do want to have this taken, thanking the character that tried to use it. Yes, I want to go ahead and do that. So class, it's a character base using, let's just call it player. Yeah, so that way we can have access a lot easier and do things like with our points and all that kind of stuff. Oh, actually, I don't need to really forward declaring here. I want to go ahead and include our player. So public player character base.h and compile. And now we should be pretty much set up. After this, I think we're gonna have to work on making some sort of interaction on the player, but that's all really for now. Let's just triple check that we have an option for cost in the barricade. Yep, here's our cost, UI message, and our mesh component. So we are good to go. We have our base class kind of made. Now we just need to do some work on our character in order to actually make text appear on our screen whenever we walk in front of the door, for example. So now that's done with, I will see you in the next one.